Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack the stories beneath the surface.
Great to be here.
Today, we're hitting the fascinating, sometimes really fiery world of international cricket rivalries.
Yeah, these aren't just, bat and ball contests.
No, definitely not. They feel fueled by layers of history, often complex politics, and culture that's so tied up with national identity. A single match can feel massive.
Absolutely. And we've looked at some really compelling material to explore what makes these contests more than just sport.
Right.
Our goal isn't just to list the big ones, but to really understand the foremost significant rivalries. Think about the historical weight, the diplomatic tightrope they sometimes walk.
And just the sheer cultural force, yeah.
Exactly.
So what is it? What's the secret ingredient that turns a regular cricket match into an epic rivalry? Is it just winning streaks? Or is there something, I don't know, deeper going on?
Well, that's what we want to explore. Go beyond the scorecards.
Okay, let's do it. We're digging past the scores today to uncover those gripping narratives. So where should we start? Maybe the granddaddy of them all.
Makes sense. England versus Australia, the Ashes.
Right. Cricket's oldest, probably most storied rivalry.
For sure. It dates right back to 1882. It started after Australia pulled off this unexpected win at the Oval in London.
Okay.
And, well, the Sporting Times newspaper printed this kind of witty, satirical obituary.
An obituary. Or English cricket.
Yeah, basically saying English cricket was dead and the body will be cremated and the ashes taken to Australia.
Huh. You can imagine how that went down.
Right. So the next time England toured Australia, the English captain, Ivo Bligh, he vowed to regain those ashes.
Hey, did he?
He did. England won. And legend has it, he was presented with this small terracotta urn, supposedly containing the ashes of a burnt cricket bale.
A bale, like one of the little bits on top of the stump.
That's the story. It was symbolic, obviously, but it gave birth to this iconic trophy and the whole rivalry.
And it's not just the history, is it? The actual competition has been incredibly close over the years.
That's a really key point. You look at over 70 series spanning, 140 plus years. The win record is remarkably tight. Australia's only slightly ahead.
That keeps it interesting, doesn't it? That feeling that either side could actually win.
Absolutely. And the format helps, too, the 5-test match series. It lets these narratives build over weeks. You see momentum shifts, individual battles become legendary.
And something that spills over, right? Like beyond the boundary rope. I'm thinking of the Bodyline series.
Bodyline, yeah. 1932-33, huge controversy.
What exactly happened?
England's tactic under Douglas Jardine was basically bowling very fast, very short, often aimed at the batsmen's bodies, trying to intimidate them.
Oof, doesn't sound very sporting.
Well, many Australians certainly felt that. They called it not cricket. It got quite nasty, actually. It even caused diplomatic friction between the governments.
Oh, cricket causing diplomatic incidents.
It shows you the stakes. Then you have these moments of individual brilliance that just define the Ashes. Ian Botham in 81.
Oh, yeah, Botham's Ashes.
Yeah.
He basically won it single-handedly, didn't he?
Pretty much. An incredible all-around performance. Turned the whole series on its head.
And then Shane Warne, that ball.
The ball of the century. 1993, Old Trafford. His first ball in an Ashes test in England. Bowled Mike Gatting with this unbelievable leg break. It just announced his arrival and sort of a new era of Aussie dominance.
Just pure magic. And then flipping it back, England's win in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
That felt massive, too.
Oh, huge. Breaking that long, long drought. The whole country was absolutely captivated by that series.
It's funny how deep it runs culturally. Like, English fans almost automatically support whoever Australia's playing against. In any sport, really.
It's true. There's this long-standing, competitive spirit, sometimes friendly, sometimes less so.
And careers are made or broken in the Ashes, aren't they?
Absolutely defined by it. Think
Wow.
Don Bradman and his ridiculous average. Botham, Warren, Glenn McGrath. More recently, Ben Stokes. Even with T20 and everything else, winning the Ashes is still... It's the pinnacle for English and Australian players.
And numbers back that closeness up, too. What is it, 71 series played?
Something like that. And Australia's won 34, England 32, with only 5 drawn series overall. It's incredibly balanced.
Astonishing, really, over such a long time. So why does it endure? Why is it still such a big deal?
I think it's that mix. You've got the deep history, that competitive balance we talked about, and just what it means culturally for both countries.
Yeah.
Holding that little urn, it's still the ultimate prize.
Okay, let's shift gears. A very different kind of intensity now. A rivalry that pulls in, over 1 billion viewers sometimes.
Yeah, we have to talk about India versus Pakistan. Arguably the most emotionally charged rivalry in cricket, maybe in all of sport.
And its roots are very different from the Ashes. They're political, historical.
Absolutely. It stems directly from the 1947 partition of British India, the creation of India and Pakistan as separate nations. It was a traumatic, violent period, and cricket almost immediately became this arena for expressing national pride, for competing.
Their first test series was only 5 years later, wasn't it? 1952?
Exactly. Right from the start, it was more than just a game.
And what's really striking is how politics has constantly interfered. Wars, diplomatic tensions. They've often stopped playing each other for years at a time.
They have. The 1965 and 1971 wars, Kargil in 99, other diplomatic standoffs. They've all led to breaks in cricketing ties.
Which must just ramp up the anticipation when they do play.
It absolutely does. That rarity factor makes each encounter feel even more significant, more high stakes. The 80s and 90s had some classic, often in neutral places like Sharjah.
Sharjah. And that Javed Miandad 6.
The last ball 6 in the 1986 Australasia Cup final against India to win the cup,
An iconic moment. Pure agony for India, ecstasy for Pakistan. Still talked about today.
Definitely. And because bilateral series, just India playing Pakistan home or away, are so rare now due to political issues.
Right, they mostly only meet in big tournaments.
Exactly. ICC events like the World Cup, the T20 World Cup, Champions Trophy, and that just concentrates the pressure even more. Think about the 2007 World T20 final. India won that one by a whisker.
I remember that. Misbah ul Haq nearly pulled it off for Pakistan.
So close. Or the 2011 World Cup semifinal in Mohali. You had the prime ministers of both countries there watching. It transcends sport.
It really does. And the viewing numbers are just insane.
Astronomical. That 2015 World Cup match, estimates were around 1 billion viewers globally. Even the 2021 T20 World Cup game got like 167 million on just one network group in India. Mind-boggling numbers.
The pressure on the players must be unbelievable.
Imagine it. Shoaib Akhtar, the fast bowler, said it's unlike anything else. Sachin Tendulkar talked about sleepless nights before India-Pakistan games. It's immense.
And we see these incredible performances forged in that heat. Tendulkar's 98 in the 2003 World Cup, that 6 off Shoaib Akhtar over point, is legendary.
Unforgettable shot. Or more recently, Virat Kohli's chase against Pakistan in the T20 World Cup in Melbourne in 2022. Just sheer willpower and brilliance under extreme pressure.
Phenomenal innings.
And you see shifts in dominance too, don't you? Pakistan had those incredible pace attacks in the 90s, Wasim Akram, Wakar Yunis.
Terrifying.
They often had the edge then. But recently, especially in 50-over World Cups, India's had this amazing streak against Pakistan. What is it, 7-0 or 8-0 now?
Something like that, yeah. Perfect record.
But beyond the wins and losses, it's the human drama, isn't it? The career-defining moments. Playing well in an India-Pakistan game can make you a national hero. Forever.
And sometimes, just sometimes, it seems like cricket can bridge the gap a little. I remember that friendship series in 2004 when India toured Pakistan.
That was a special tour. There was a real sense of goodwill, fans traveling across the border, great spirit between the players. It showed the potential, Ultimately, this rivalry is unique because it reflects those complex international relations so vividly, but it also occasionally offers that glimpse of shared passion and maybe even understanding.
Okay, fascinating stuff. Let's move on to another rivalry, one that maybe tells a story about cricket's shifting power balance more recently. India versus Australia.
Yeah, this one's really evolved, hasn't it? It wasn't always seen as a top-tier rivalry. For a long time, Australia were pretty dominant. Some might say there was even a bit of a colonial hangover in the relationship early on.
Right, Australia the established power, India the rising one. But there was a definite turning point, wasn't there, around 2001?
Absolutely. That 2001 Test series in India, it's legendary. Australia came over on this incredible run, 16 Test wins in a row. They were expected to conquer India, which Steve Waugh called their final frontier.
And they won the first Test easily, didn't they?
Comfortably. Then came the second Test in Kolkata, Eden Gardens. Australia make a big score, bowl India out cheaply, and force the follow-on.
Which means India have to bat again immediately, way behind. Game over, surely.
Everyone thought so. But then VVS Laxman plays maybe the greatest innings ever by an Indian batsman, 281. Rahul Dravid makes 180. They bat all day. India declare set Australia target on the last day, and Harbhajan Singh spins them to this unbelievable victory.
It still gives me goosebumps thinking about it. It completely changed the perception of that Indian team.
It really did. It ended Australia's streak and announced that India weren't just going to roll over anymore. That series kind of lit the fuse for the modern rivalry.
And then they formalized it with the Border Gavaskar Trophy.
Right, named after Alan Border and Sunil Gavaskar, first two guys to score 10,000 test runs. It gave the series a proper identity. And what's interesting is how this rivalry tracks cricket's changing landscape, the shift of power and money towards the subcontinent, towards India.
Yeah, that's a good point. And like any good rivalry, it's had a share of friction, controversies.
Oh, definitely. Things got really heated sometimes. The 2008 Monkey Gate incident in Sydney involving Harbhajan Singh and Andrew Simons was unpleasant. It strained relations quite badly for a while.
Yeah, that was ugly. And then there was the brain fade moment more recently.
2017, Steve Smith looking up towards the dressing room for advice on whether to review an LBW decision. Virat Kohli wasn't happy. It added another layer of spice.
So you can see phases, can't you? Early Aussie dominance, then this period of intense, often spiky competition from 2001 onwards.
Exactly. And then the last few years, we've seen India achieve something extraordinary, winning back-to-back test series in Australia.
That 2020-21 series win was just incredible after being bowled out for 36 in Adelaide, their lowest ever score.
Lowest ever, yeah. Captain Kohli flies home for the birth of his child. Loads of injuries to key bowlers. Nobody gave him a chance.
And they still won. At the Gabba, where Australia hadn't lost for over 30 years.
Unbelievable resilience. Gideon Hay, a great cricket writer, called it potentially the greatest series victory in Indian cricket history. Hard to argue with that.
What does that say, though, about the bigger picture?
Well, for Australia, sporting dominance is sort of baked into their national identity. India consistently challenging and beating them, especially down under, reflects not just India's cricketing rise, but also maybe broader shifts in global economics and influence.
And the individual duels within the main contest have been fantastic, too.
Oh, legendary. Warren versus Tendulkar was the classic. But then you had Ricky Ponting versus Anil Kumble, Brett Lee versus Sachin again. More recently, Kohli versus Smith, Pat Cummins versus Cheteshwar Puchara. These are fascinating subplots.
And contrasting styles, too, right? Australia's traditional aggression versus India's, well, technical skill combined with a new assertiveness.
Exactly. It makes for really compelling viewing. Plus, you have the whole IPL dynamic now, where these fierce rivals become teammates for a couple months a year. Adds another interesting layer.
So high-quality cricket, lots of drama, and it tells a bigger story about the game's evolution.
That sums it up pretty well. The Border Gavaskar Trophy is consistently producing some of the best test cricket going around.
Okay, one more rivalry to touch on. Australia versus South Africa. Bit different, this one.
Yeah, it's got a different feel. A complicated relationship, maybe. Two nations with similar sort of settler colony backgrounds, but very different 20th century histories.
Because of apartheid,
Yeah.
right? South Africa were isolated from international cricket for a long time.
For 22 years. Just before the ban, in 1970, they had hammered a very strong Australian side 4-0 in South Africa, showed the talent they had, which was then lost to the world stage.
And when they came back in 1992, did the rivalry pick up quickly?
It did. It developed fast into a really competitive, often dramatic contest. Maybe the most iconic early moment was that 1999 World Cup semifinal.
Oh, the tie. Alan Donald's run out.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking for South Africa.
Absolutely gut-wrenching. A tied match, but Australia went through to the final because they'd finished higher in the group stage. Just pure drama.
What really defines this one is it politics, history.
Less so than India-Pakistan or even the Ashes. It feels more about, well, pure hard cricket.
You're right.
Especially the battles between the fast bowlers. That's been a constant theme.
Like who?
You had Glenn McGrath versus Alan Donald early on, then Brett Lee versus Dale Steyn. That was electric. Mitchell Johnson versus Steyn again, or Mornay, Morkel. Now maybe Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc versus Kagisa Rabada. Always world-class pace on both sides.
And there's always been that psychological angle too, hasn't there? The whole chokers label that seems to follow South Africa in big moments, especially against Australia.
It's impossible to ignore, unfortunately, for them. That tag, particularly related to World Cups, often seems to loom large when they play Australia in knockout games. Richard Perry wrote about a possible complex of inferiority and determination for South Africa in these matches.
Adds another layer of pressure. But they've had some incredible contests outside of World Cups too. That period from maybe 2006 to 2014 felt like a golden age.
Absolutely. Some amazing cricket. The 434 game in 2006.
The ODI.
Yeah.
Where Australia scored 434 and South Africa chased it down.
Yeah. Highest successful run chase in ODI history at the time. Just mind-blowing stuff at the Wanderers.
Incredible. And South Africa finally won a test series in Australia during that period too.
They did, 2008-09. A massive moment for them, beating Australia away. Then, typically for this rivalry, Australia came straight back and won the return series in South Africa. It was just constantly seesawing. South Africa were the #1 test team for a while there, too.
So really high quality, evenly matched teams.
For a long stretch, yes. But then you also had the really low point, the 2018 ball tampering scandal in Cape Town.
Ah, Sandpaper Gate. That happened during a series between these two, didn't it?
It did. Cameron Bancroft caught on camera using sandpaper on the ball, with Captain Steve Smith and Vice Captain David Warner involved in the plan. Huge fallout for Australian cricket culture.
Shows the intensity again, I guess. But overall, compared to the others, maybe less historical baggage.
Generally, yes. It feels more like two teams with quite similar, often aggressive approaches, strong pace attacks, just going head-to-head. There's often a mutual respect, even though it gets fiery on the field. It's defined by consistently close, high-quality cricket, maybe more than deep-seated animosity, though 2018 obviously tested that.
We've covered a lot of ground. Ashes history, India-Pakistan emotion, the India-Australia power shift, and the pure competitive edge of Australia-South Africa.
Right.
As we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main takeaways?
I think it's seeing how these rivalries are like a lens. They show us how sport reflects history, politics, culture. Sometimes they even seem to transcend those things, like that friendship series.
Yeah.
They show cricket's evolution, the shifts in power globally. They highlight the diplomatic weight some games carry and just the raw emotion, how these contests unite and divide people so powerfully.
And hopefully, for you listening, understanding that context just adds another layer, right?
Yeah.
It makes watching these matches even richer when you know the stories behind the scores.
Exactly. It's not just about the sixes and wickets, it's the narrative. And maybe there are lessons for cricket administrators, too, about how you nurture these big contests, balancing frequency with significance.
Good point. It really does feel unique to international cricket, doesn't it? This level of national rivalry.
It does hold a special place compared to, say, club sport.
So, a final thought to leave you with. Think about how these intense sporting rivalries might mirror other kinds of competition, other ways identities are formed in the world, and, looking ahead, what's next? What new rivalries might emerge as cricket keeps evolving? Definitely something to chew on.
Food for thought.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.